Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Shift, a podcast where we talk about building healthy, whole women for stronger families and a thriving society. Today, we're going to talk about what a healthy menstrual cycle should look like. We're going to talk about why your period is so miserable and painful, ladies, if you do have a miserable, painful period. And we're going to talk about how so many women are just programmed to believe that their period should be painful and should be awful every single month. And that's just the way it is because we're women. And then we'll, of course, talk about the common causes of abnormal cycles, of painful periods, and some ways, many ways that we can change our diet, lifestyle, etc., to improve our menstrual cycle. So I want all of you to remember, if you're a woman listening, your menstrual cycle is your fifth vital sign, along with blood pressure, body temperature, heart rate, respiratory rate. Menstrual irregularities can indicate a number of things: hormonal imbalances, gynecological issues, even infections, just a lot of things going on in the body. So we need to look at our menstrual cycle not as some annoyance every month that just comes and goes, but it really is a sign of our overall health. And I think if more women approached it that way, they would investigate the certain symptoms of their cycle and track their cycle more diligently, we would have a lot more women who were healthier in the long run because they would be able to identify some hormonal imbalances or anything else going on in their life. Of course, things like stress, changes in weight, medications, all of that can either temporarily affect your cycle or affect your cycle more in the long term. I honestly hate seeing so many women online complain about how awful their period is because it makes me sad to think that so many women suffer every month and they think that it's just normal to suffer and they're supposed to suffer. But the truth is, your period should not be awful. And your period should not be an excuse every month to just lay down in bed and binge eat ice cream, be mean to your boyfriend or your husband for no reason at all. You see all those memes online where it's my period, I'm just going to lie down and eat bonbons and yell at my boyfriend. I'm sorry, but if we're being honest about building healthy, whole women, which we should be pretty adamant about that, then we will not weaponize our monthly period to be lazy and to be rude. That's not what we're doing here. That doesn't mean that you have to power through your cycle and force yourself to do things that you don't intuitively feel good about doing, like high intensity workouts or overworking yourself at the office, but because that's in and of itself an extreme and that's not healthy. But we're definitely not going to go in the other route where we look at our period as a reason to just lie in bed and do nothing because we're in so much pain. So before we get into all of the symptoms of what a healthy period should and shouldn't look like, I'm going to show you a quick video of a young woman who demands that women get time off every month from the workplace because her period is so horrible. This video went viral a few weeks ago. I posted it on my Twitter, and it's important to watch because it actually displays the typical woman's experience with menstruation. And there's a lot here that we can kind of unpack together. So let's take a look.
They're telling me in 2024, women still are not able to go home and take off of work during their menstrual cycles. Why is this not a thing? I don't understand it because I have really painful periods. I know that I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of women and I still have taken things for it. Like, it doesn't fix it, but it is a really awkward situation trying to go to your managers, especially me working in a male dominated industry, saying like, hey, I can't stand up right now because my cramps are killing me and I really just want to cry. Can I please go home for the day? I know that seems easier said than done, but it's really not, because men don't get it. And I understand why they don't, because they have never gone through it and they never will. And I think it's just like, oh, just a silly little thing. Like, oh, you're just getting your period. Like, no, it hurts and I want to cry and I'm breaking out and I feel ugly and I feel fat. And it literally, like, my uterus is knives. I don't want to talk to customers. If a customer comes to me right now, I'm probably just going to cry. It needs to be normalized that we can say, like, I need to go home for personal reasons or for female obligated reasons. And we don't have to elaborate. I'm not saying that it needs to be paid time off. Still should get like our paid time that we were supposed to be there. But just being able to go home without asking and prying at a bunch of questions or just being like, no, we need you here. Like, no, I need to rest because my body is going through a lot right now and you wouldn't get it.
So she says that her uterus is knives. She says, my uterus is knives. And she can't stand up at the office. And she says men will just never, ever understand. She says she will probably cry if she has to talk to a customer. And she thinks that women should be able to just go home without any questions every month when they're on their menstrual cycle, when they're on their period, because their body is going through a lot. Let me tell you something, ladies. If your period is this painful and debilitating every month and your uterus is knives, something is wrong. It is not normal or healthy for you to experience this much pain every time you menstruate. Please remember that. If you forget everything else I say today, please remember that this is not, just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. If you have this experience that this young woman has, there is something wrong that we can address. And this is good news, because it means that you don't have to suffer every month. Okay, before we get into all the rest of this, the list of things that should be happening during your period, I want to tell you about my brand new dumbbell workout program that I just released. This is a 10-week program that's got 3 strength workouts a week. I also put in a whole list of cardio workouts that you can do in between your strength sessions. So if you're looking for a great program that you could do either at home with dumbbells or you can do it at the gym, this program is for you, and it's great because it's going to put you right into the summer months. So everyone is trying to look their best and feel their best for summer. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great thing, especially if you have a big event coming up, like a wedding to attend or some graduation or a vacation that you want to look your best. Now's the time to start your workouts. Ladies, I mean, for men too, but mostly women love these workouts because it's just so accessible to them. So whether you're kind of new to working out or you've been doing it for a while and you just need some structure, this dumbbell workout program is for you. And it's pretty easy to follow. It's got tutorial videos. It's got a lot of information on warming up and cooling down. So if you're interested, it's on sale now. It's at a really great price. I think we slashed it by almost half. So click the link in the show notes in the description and grab your dumbbell workout program before it disappears. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so for some reason, whenever I share this message that your period should not be this painful, I always get met with angry feedback. For some reason, women get so upset that when they're told that their periods shouldn't be miserable. And I really think it's because a lot of these women make an entire personality out of hating their period. You see endless amounts of memes online on social media about how much life sucks during menstruation and how much they hate their husbands and they just want to cry and eat Twix in bed and they need to watch all these rom-coms. I honestly think a lot of women like the monthly pain to complain about. It gives them something to bond over with other women. It gives them something to whinge about. It's almost like a sick kind of meaning that it gives them. But it would be better for everyone, ourselves as individuals, our loved ones, our families, our communities, if we stopped acting like periods had to be a miserable monthly occurrence that allow us to be cranky and shut the whole world out while we lay in bed. I think it would be much better for everyone, especially the women themselves, if we acknowledge that periods do not have to be awful. So first, let's talk about what a healthy menstrual cycle should look like. And for each of these on the list, we're also going to talk about symptoms that are abnormal. And then after that, I'll get into some more symptoms that are really a red flag and that you should look into. And before we jump in, I want you to have an open mind. And I want you to not hear any of this as an attack on you, but rather hear it as good news that your period should not be awful every month. Number one of the first signs of a healthy menstrual cycle is that it sort of sneaks up on you. Most women have a pretty good sense of when their cycle is going to start, right? You know roughly which day, especially if your cycles are regular. But sometimes life gets busy and you lose track of your calendar. And if you sit down to go to the bathroom one day, you're like, oh, hey, I started my period. And if you didn't really notice any symptoms leading up to that, that's a sign of a healthy menstrual cycle. Okay, so you should not have this long period of PMS. You're really, really moody, terrible cramps, really bad bloating, your clothes don't fit, you have low self-esteem, your acne's breaking out. You should not have a whole laundry list of symptoms leading up to your period. If your period kind of like sneaks up on you, like, oh, I forgot it's coming and it arrived, that's a sign of a healthy menstrual cycle. Number two, it's normal to have slight discomfort, some light cramping and light bloating on days 1 and or 2 of your period when you start bleeding. Okay, these cramps should not be debilitating. They shouldn't put you in bed and they shouldn't stop you from living your life normally. Okay, you may have the urge to lie down for a few minutes and maybe relax and slow down, apply some heat to your abdomen, but that shouldn't be because you must lay down out of excruciating pain, but rather because you have the intuition that if you have the time, I'm going to take this time to relax a little because the lining of my uterus is shedding. It should not be the excruciating pain that makes you double over and cry. Okay, so some light cramping, a little bit of discomfort, you're like, that doesn't really feel nice. But if I still need to go about my day, I can. And if I can take a few minutes to just lie down and apply heat, that's a nice thing to do. Number 3, your normal period lasts anywhere from 3 to 7 days. Clots should be smaller than a quarter, and there is 1 day of heavy medium flow. I hear a lot of accounts of women who bleed very heavy for multiple days in a row. And they're like, oh, I need the super jumbo tampons. It's like that scene in Mean Girls where they're all in the assembly and the girl's like, I need the super jumbo tampons. It's not my fault I have a wide set vagina. If you need super jumbo tampons for multiple days in a row, that's not normal and you should seek help for that. I don't mean to laugh at you. Just laugh. It just always reminds me of that scene in Mean Girls. This is a very common sign of estrogen dominance, which unfortunately is a hormonal imbalance that is becoming more and more common among Western women. We're going to talk a little bit more about estrogen dominance in a bit later. The length of your entire menstrual cycle. Remember, your menstrual cycle, the first day is your period. And the last day is the day before your next period. So the length of your entire menstrual cycle should be somewhere between 24 to 36 days. That's a pretty big window. Now, you hear a lot of people online talk about how a woman's cycle is 28 days. Did you know that only 15% of women have a 28-day menstrual cycle? That's a very low number. So somewhere in between 24 to 36 is normal. Now, I could do a deep dive into the whole cycle, including ovulation, luteal phase, etc., and tell you what should happen in each phase. So if that's something that you want to see or hear, ladies, please comment below and let me know, because I've done webinars on it. I can do the full breakdown for you. That's just not what we're going to do today. But your cycle should be predictable and pretty regular each month in that 24 to 36 range. If you have an irregular cycle that's like 25 days, 1 month, 32 days the next, 40 days the next, 20 days the next, that's probably a problem and it should be looked at more closely. But if you're anywhere between 24 to 36 days and it's like 27 days, 28 days, 27, 29, like that's more normal, okay? But don't freak out if your if your menstrual cycle is not 28 days, because like I said, only very few women have a 28-day cycle. Let's see, number 4, you may feel a little bit less energetic than usual. That's normal when you're bleeding, when you're on your period, maybe a little bit sadder than usual. Your menstruation is when progesterone and estrogen both start to decline at the same time. This is the only time of month when both of these hormones start to decline together. So it can, of course, result in a slight change in mood. However, if you are erratically emotional, angry, and you lash out at your boyfriend, your husband, or your roommate, or your friend, or your mom every month for no reason, this is not normal. I know this is not the news that you want to hear, ladies, because like I said earlier, menstrual mood swings have become like an entire personality for women. But the truth is, if you have terrible mood swings every month, something is probably off. It's okay to feel a little down, like you just feel a little bit like, I just don't feel like myself today. That's normal. But if you're constantly picking fights and you feel like the world is going to end and you feel depressed every month, not normal. Number 5, you may crave certain carby and sugary foods more than usual during your period. And that is in fact normal. That's because the hormonal changes of estrogen and progesterone, like we just talked about, can result in certain cravings for carbs. Many women also just generally feel a little bit hungrier during their period. That's okay. These cravings should be answered with natural carbs and sugars like organic fruit, raw dairy, raw honey, starchy vegetables. Other foods that are good to eat during your period are dark leafy greens, of course, grass-fed meats, pasture-raised eggs. Oysters are really good, wild-caught fish for those really healthy fats. However, if you have a super intense craving for things like ice cream, cookies, cake all the time, and you just like cannot get enough sugar in your system, that is not a healthy sign of menstruation. And it could indicate that you have some kind of blood sugar imbalance or you're not getting enough protein in your daily diet. That's one of the reasons why so many women have high sugar cravings. And when I work with clients, one of the first ways that we address intense sugar cravings is we increase the amount of protein that they eat every day, and it works wonders. So other than what I mentioned above, here are some chronic symptoms that are not normal and usually indicate something is wrong. You break out every month with bad acne. You have terrible headaches chronically every month, brain fog, noticeable sleep issues like insomnia every time your period rolls around, painful, really sore, really painful breasts, the period flu. That's also another symptom that people talk about. They feel like they get the flu usually every month when they're on their period. These are not normal. You do not have to live in pain every month, ladies. Once a month is a lot. That happens pretty often. So if you are miserable every month, I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, you don't have to be miserable. Okay, now it's impossible to know exactly what each of these symptoms are tied to, but let's go over some of the most common causes of irregular periods and painful period symptoms. Before we do that, I want to tell you about my 10-week Fit and Lean program. For those of you who need some hands-on coaching, if you are trying to lose some weight, trying to get healthy, shed excess body fat, and you aren't really quite sure what to do, or maybe you've been trying the same thing and you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall and it's not working, join my coaching program. It's 10 weeks long. It's called Fit and Lean. You're going to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks. I have had many women lose more than 10 pounds in 10 weeks. I'll share her picture here. She's on week 7 of the program and she's already lost 13 pounds. She's getting ready for her wedding. So this is a really great program for people who need coaching from me. You're going to have a weekly group coaching call with me. I'm going to give you a workout program, a recipe book. I'm going to give you macro guidance. I'm going to teach you how to log in your macros, track your protein, carb, and fat, and change the lifestyle habits that you need in order to shed that excess body weight. I've had plenty of women who do the program that are, maybe don't need to lose that much weight, but they want to lose like 5 pounds and they want to just look their best, tighten up their physique, and fix some of their bad eating habits. So if that's something that you're interested in, join our Fit and Lean program. It's 10 weeks long. We're doing a special on it now, and we do have spots open. It's a small group coaching program, so the spots are not going to stay open for long. Link is in the description in the show notes. Click it. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. You can put it in the comment section, or you can reach out to me, DM me on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is that you want to DM me. But join us. It's going to be a really, really good cohort of new people coming in and losing 10 pounds in 10 weeks. So let's talk about the common causes of irregular periods. Number 1, hormonal imbalances. Of course, there are endless kinds of hormonal imbalances. Estrogen dominance, like I mentioned before, is a very common one. That's where the levels of estrogen, which is a key female sex hormone, are disproportionately high relative to progesterone, another crucial hormone in the female reproductive system that we're going to talk about a little bit later. Estrogen dominance can stem from many different things like environmental factors or the body's decreased ability to metabolize estrogen properly. Symptoms vary widely and can include things like weight gain, it's hard to lose weight, mood swings, fatigue, irregular menstrual cycles, increased risk of certain health conditions such as fibroids and breast cancer. And so estrogen dominance is really, really common. We're seeing that a lot more lately where women are just, their bodies are just ruled by too much estrogen. And it causes a lot of issues in their menstrual cycle. Again, heavy bleeding is a common symptom of estrogen dominance. So if you're someone who is struggling with that, and if you go to your doctor and they say, oh, we don't really need to test you for that, I think you'll be fine. Maybe just put you on the pill or take some medication. Please find a new doctor. You deserve a medical provider who's going to help you get to the root cause. Because remember, like I've talked about on so many other episodes, a birth control pill does not treat anything. It just masks symptoms temporarily and it doesn't get into the root cause. And I want you to be better in the long run. I don't want you to just like feel better for a couple of months. I want you to heal whatever the chronic issues are. And estrogen dominance is a chronic issue that should be looked at seriously. Another kind of hormonal imbalance is low progesterone. This refers to decreased levels of a key hormone, progesterone, which is known as the key mood and sleep stabilizer in women. This is essential for regulating the menstrual cycle and also essential for supporting early stages of pregnancy. Progesterone prepares the uterine lining for implantation. So progesterone should rise naturally. It spikes right after ovulation, regardless of whether you get pregnant or not, because I'm sorry to tell you, ladies, your body wants to get pregnant every month. Your body does all the things when you're healthy. Your body does all the things after you ovulate to prepare for pregnancy. That's just the way it is. So even if you are not, if you're not having sex or you're not trying to get pregnant, that progesterone is going to spike right after ovulation because it's trying to get pregnant. So that progesterone is needed to maintain pregnancy. And when your progesterone levels are low, it can lead to irregular or missed periods, spotting, difficulties maintaining pregnancy, like recurrent miscarriages, unfortunately, is a common sign of low progesterone. It can also result in a short luteal phase. The luteal phase is the first day of ovulation until basically the day before you start your period. And if you have low progesterone and your progesterone does not spike and get high enough, that luteal phase is very short, usually shorter than 9 to 10 days. And there are a lot of things that can help improve progesterone. You can do it naturally. You can take bioidentical progesterone. That's something that you have to really work on with a holistic practitioner, because there's no one size fits all when it comes to restoring progesterone levels in the body. And we're going to talk about stress a little bit more later, but remember that stress, cortisol, your stress hormone, is derived from progesterone. So if you're super stressed out, you're depleting progesterone in your body, and it's making it harder for your cycle to be regular, making it harder for you to get pregnant and stay pregnant. So, there could be a combination of issues with both estrogen and progesterone. There are a lot of, like I said, a lot of different ways that hormonal imbalances can manifest themselves in the body. Tracking your own menstrual cycle for the whole month can tell you a lot about your hormones and could even help you identify what the imbalances are. For example, like I said, the luteal phase. If you're tracking your cycle regularly, and if you know that your luteal phase is a little bit short, it's like, why is it 7 or 8 days? Very common sign of low progesterone. Okay, and this can be discovered. You don't even have to go to the lab and get labs done and get your blood drawn to see this. You can just see it by regular tracking of your menstrual cycle every month, from the first day of your period until the last day before your next period. But many times, of course, if tracking your cycle is not enough, that's okay. You can go and get your hormones tested. Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of women who go to conventional medical doctors like their OBGYN, and they ask to get hormone testing done, and the doctors say no. I get messages all the time from women who have had to change doctors, or they're really disappointed with their current doctor because they feel like their doctor's not listening to them. They're like, I think I need to get my hormones tested. I would like to see what's going on here. And the doctor's like, oh, you don't need that. It's not enough. There's not enough symptoms to go in for some testing. I think you should just take this pill, take the birth control pill. It'll fix everything. If you have a little bit of an intuition that your doctor's not listening to you and is not giving you the labs that you think you need, please change your doctor. It is okay to fire them and find a different provider that is going to listen to you and not gaslight you. Okay. So the second common cause of irregular cycles is environmental factors such as toxin exposure. This is a big one that a lot of women overlook. Exposure to various toxins can significantly impact a woman's menstrual cycle, which leads to disruptions, hormonal imbalances that, of course, affect reproductive health. Okay, so there's a lot of external influences like exposure to chemicals found in pesticides, the use of plastics, certain cleaning products that you use for your laundry, for your kitchen, for the bathroom, personal care products like makeup, skincare, even a lot of menstrual care products like tampons and pads, a lot of industrial pollutants that we come in touch with every day. All of these substances can act as endocrine disruptors, which mimic or block the action of hormones and thereby affect the body's natural hormonal balance. One of the primary ways that toxins affect a woman's menstrual cycle is through her interaction with estrogen, that key female sex hormone. Many environmental toxins like BPA found in plastics or phthalates found in personal care products, pesticides, etc., they possess estrogenic activity. And these chemicals can bind to estrogen receptors in the body, leading to estrogen dominance, a condition where there's an excess of estrogen, especially in relation to progesterone. So you could be doing all of the right things. You could be eating a, quote, clean diet. You could be exercising a lot, walking outside, getting your 10,000 steps a day. But if you are still surrounded by environmental toxins, you're wearing polyester all the time, you're drinking water that's not clean, you're basically drinking toxic tap water, you're using all these cleaning products, makeup products, skincare products that are riddled with endocrine disruptors, and you're spraying all the fragrances around your house, and you're doing all of these things where you're filling your body up with toxins every day, you could still absolutely be struggling with some kind of menstrual irregularities because you're just filling your body with toxins, even though you're eating clean and exercising, going to Barry's boot camp. Those toxins play a really big role. Okay, toxins also affect the thyroid gland, which plays a critical role, not only in regulating metabolism, but in interacting with your reproductive hormones. Chemicals like PCBs and certain pesticides can disrupt thyroid function, leading to menstrual irregularities and fertility issues. The thyroid sensitivity to environmental toxins, it really shows this interconnectedness of the endocrine system and how disruptors in one area can cascade into a multitude of reproductive health issues. Another concern is heavy metals, such as lead and mercury. These definitely affect menstrual health. The metals can accumulate in the body over time, contributing to oxidative stress and inflammation, which can impair hormone production and regulation. Okay, and of course, that leads to reduced fertility, increased risk of miscarriage, blah, blah, blah. So you have to think about it on both an individual and collective level. Like on a broad scale, we should be definitely advocating for stronger environmental protections because there's really not enough regulations in the US when it comes to toxins. Like a lot of toxins are regulated in the UK and the EU, but here it's like, whatever, put them in all the tampons, who cares? So it's really important to take a look at your overall life. So when I have a lot of women, they're like, I eat well, and the reason they get mad at me is because they're like, you're saying that my regular cycle is my fault. I eat really healthy. I eat salads and I work out every day. Okay, but let's talk about all the toxins that you're slathering on your body and that you're inhaling every single day, even down to like car air fresheners. You know, are you spraying stuff all over the house? What kind of makeup are you slathering yourself in every day? Your skin is your largest organ and it absorbs everything. What kind of shampoo and conditioner, soap, perfume are you using? What kind of clothes are you wearing? These have a major impact on our menstrual cycle, ladies. Do not overlook them. This is not a minor thing. This is not to like freak you out, but it is something that we should take seriously. Next up is, of course, nutrition and lifestyle. You know this, but we're going to go over it anyway because there are plenty of people who need to hear it. A poor diet, particularly one that is high in ultra-processed foods, can significantly contribute to an irregular menstrual cycle and hormonal imbalances. Fast foods, packaged snacks, sugary beverages, ready-to-eat meals. These are often high in added sugars, unhealthy fats, artificial additives, and they're very low in essential nutrients. All of this disrupts your hormones. Of course, excessive consumption of these processed foods leads to weight gain and obesity. And I'm sorry, but that really affects your menstrual cycle. That body fat in your body produces more estrogen, which leads to an excess of estrogen. Hello, estrogen dominance. And then you have the imbalance of estrogen versus progesterone. Of course, the high levels of refined carbs and added sugars and ultra-processed foods spike insulin levels and worsen insulin resistance, which is when your body's cells don't respond effectively to insulin. Insulin resistance is very closely linked to PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome. This is a common endocrine disorder among women of reproductive age that is characterized by irregular menstrual cycles, ovulatory dysfunction, hormonal imbalances. So a lot of times women who struggle with PCOS, almost always they also struggle with insulin resistance. And that can, thank goodness, be fixed through diet and lifestyle. One thing, I'm not normally a fan of recommending intermittent fasting to everybody, but one thing I'm a fan of when it comes to fasting is PCOS, because insulin resistance benefits a lot. Well, you can benefit a lot if you have insulin resistance from intermittent fasting. And of course, endometriosis is another cause of irregular cycles and really, really painful cycles. And people think that the pill is the only answer to PCOS and endometriosis, but it's not. There are a lot of ways you can examine your hormones, take some tests, look at the estrogen, progesterone levels in your body, change your diet, lifestyles, common toxins, environmental toxins, and remove all those ultra-processed foods. They're low in fiber and essential nutrients. And you're missing out on things like B vitamins, vitamin D, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids. These all play incredible roles in synthesizing and balancing your hormones. And if you have a diet that lacks all these nutrients, you're going to have a terrible, painful, miserable, irregular menstrual cycle. Unfortunately, a lot of women think they're eating healthy. I'm gluten-free, I'm vegan, I'm keto, I do fasting. It doesn't really mean anything. You can still have a very unhealthy diet and you're just shooting yourself in the foot and you're not getting the proper nutrition that you need. Stress is another one. This is the last common factor of hormonal imbalances that we're going to talk about. Stress, whether it's acute or chronic, can have a profound impact on a woman's menstrual cycle and hormonal balances. Okay. And when the body perceives a high amount of stress, it triggers the release of cortisol, the stress hormone that we all know about. And this can really disrupt the delicate balance of reproductive hormones necessary for a regular, normal menstrual cycle. Remember I talked about earlier that your cortisol is derived from your progesterone. So the more stressed you are and the more you feel like you're running around like a headless chicken, the more likely you're going to be depleted of progesterone. And that's going to lead to that shorter luteal phase, some spotting, painful cycles, difficulty getting pregnant, difficulty staying pregnant. So we really need to look at our stress. It plays such a huge role. One of the other primary ways that stress impacts the menstrual cycle is by affecting the regulation of a hormone called, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, it's called GnRH, but it's gonadotropin releasing hormone. It comes from the hypothalamus. It's crucial for the release of FSH, which is the follicle stimulating hormone, and LH, the luteinizing hormone, from the pituitary gland, which in turn regulates ovulation, your cycle, the production of estrogen and progesterone. So elevated cortisol levels can suppress GnRH production, which leads to decreased levels of FSH and LH, which leads to disrupted ovulation. And ovulation is the main event of your menstrual cycle. So your period largely relies on what happens during your ovulation. Your period, even the timing of your period, relies completely on when you ovulated. You never have a late period, ever. What you have is late ovulation because the period relies 100% on when you ovulate and how you ovulate. So that decreased levels of FSH and LH because of the suppressed GnRH production comes from increased cortisol. And a lot of women today lead very, very stressful lives. And sometimes they almost don't even know it. And they're just going through the motions on the hamster wheel and they're just trying to get through life. But that chronic stress is really having an effect on their hormonal cycle and their menstrual cycle. Of course, chronic stress also affects ovarian function directly and exacerbates symptoms of PMS, makes your period more painful. And you know that stress is going to significantly affect fertility as well. You know, stress is one of the hardest things to really tackle because it doesn't require more action. It doesn't require that you learn more or that you do more. Stress is really hard to tackle because it requires you to stop doing, and it requires you to be, and it requires you to really slow down and slow down your mind, which can feel like the most impossible thing to do. Out of all the things that we do in our life, reducing stress can really be the hardest one because it requires a brutal examination of your daily life, your intrusive thoughts, your spiritual life, your deeply ingrained daily habits. Because like I said, reducing stress isn't about doing something. You can't take a supplement or finish a course or achieve something new to lower stress. You have to think of stress as an undoing. You have to learn to be instead of do all the time. And like I've said in previous episodes, stress is particularly important on a woman's reproductive cycle. It affects women's reproduction more than it does men, which is why one of the reasons that, infertility is an issue with both men and women. Yes. But with women in particular, the stress is really, really what makes it even worse. Okay, so for me, reducing stress is best achieved through my faith, daily prayer, regular participation in the sacraments, being more involved in church life, or at least trying to be, going deeper into my repentance. But secondary to that is slowing down, spending less time on social media, really being careful about who you spend your time and your energy with, really being careful about guarding your heart and guarding your mind when you're scrolling online. And making sure that you're not consuming content that's going to make you more stressed, which is going to affect your hormones, affect your weight, affect your sleep, affect everything. Doing breath work before bed, really slowing things down. Reducing stress is by far the hardest thing when it comes to improving our menstrual cycle, but it is necessary, ladies. Don't overlook it. We have to learn to slow down. This has been especially hard for me because I've always been a doer. My mom said even when I was like 14 years old, she had to like tell me to slow down. She said, you were always just trying to study and accomplish things. And I was a classical pianist competitively for most of my life. And so I was always practicing and trying to get the best grades and playing tennis and doing all the things. My mom was like, hey, maybe slow down a little. Like she never had to tell me to study. She never had to tell me to do things. I was just always a doer. So this is the hardest thing for me too. Especially during pregnancy and as a mom, you'll notice that you have to really work on your stress. And again, it's hard because you can't do anything to lower stress. It's an undoing. So this brings us into how to improve your menstrual cycle. We know all the common causes, the common abnormal symptoms. How do we improve the menstrual cycle? We already talked about stress. That is probably, I would say, number one for a lot of women. You see all the boss babes and the girls who are working in the corporate life and they're climbing the corporate ladder. They probably have irregular menstrual cycles because they're super stressed out. But other than that, diet and lifestyle, removing ultra processed foods, of course, prioritizing nutrient dense foods, grass-fed meat, pasture raised eggs, wild caught fish, organic fruits and veggies, organ meat, really trying to cook at home as much as possible and trying to eat out less so you have control over your ingredients and your meals. Eliminating seed oils, eating healthier fats, cooking with things like beef tallow, butter or ghee, coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, instead of all those vegetable oils that are just basically toxic to the body. But then it comes to detoxing. Detox a lot of the environmental toxins that you're exposed to all the time. Drink better water is probably the number one way to start detoxing, or the number one way to remove a lot of environmental toxins from your life. Stop drinking the tap water. Please, ladies, if you're drinking tap water, stop now. Don't do it. Throw away your Brita filter. It's not doing the job. You need reverse osmosis plus remineralization. The best thing to do is get a water filtration system for your home, especially if you're a homeowner. You have no reason not to do it. Install it, get it done. I really like APEC water systems, APEC. I'm not sponsored by them. We've just had it for years. And you install and it has a separate water, basically faucet for drinking water. But that's the number one way. We think of all the bells and whistles when it comes to weight loss and hormonal balance, like working out, being outside, eating well, all these things that are like sexy and they are fun to talk about. What kind of water are you drinking? You drink a lot of water every day. It has a really big impact on your body. Drink clean water, reverse osmosis plus remineralization. Use better makeup and skincare. Stop slathering your body in all these endocrine disruptors. I just use beef tallow at night for moisturizer on my face. If I have to use makeup, I use Charlie's Skincare in the morning for a little bit of moisturizer underneath my makeup. I have a code, 20% off, Gina. I'll put the link in the description. I really like their products. They're in Italian glass. They're not in endocrine disrupting plastics. They have a really nice face serum, facial cleanser. It's a really good line of products. You have to be really careful what you're putting on your body every day. Clothing. What are you wearing, women? Are you wearing Lululemon every day, covering yourself in polyester? Try to wear more cotton, linen, wool during the winter. Use better cleaning products at home. No fragrances at home. Toss out all the fragrance, candles, cleaning supplies. Especially the candles, because you think it's just, I just lit it a couple of times. It's fine now. When you light it, those particles stick to the surfaces in your home and you continue to breathe them long after the candle's blown out. And then for detoxing, think about sweating a lot. Movement, now they're moving into summer, get outside, move your body, sweat a lot, get in the sauna, detox all of those toxins out of your system. Castor oil packs, as long as you're not pregnant, ladies. Use castor oil packs to help your liver detox all of the toxins that have been building up in your body. Now let's talk about some supplements that can be really helpful. Magnesium. It's known for its ability to relieve cramps and menstrual pain and help with bloating and mood swings. It plays a really big role in hormonal balance and muscle relaxation. I have a great magnesium that I take every single night. I've been taking it for like 5 years. It's a chocolate sea salt flavor. It is so delicious. I like to put in a little bit of raw milk sometimes when I want almost like a chocolate milk before bed. I'll put the link in the description. It's a great product. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fish oil supplements has to be high quality omega-3 fatty acids. I can put my link in there too, in the description in the show notes here. That has anti-inflammatory properties to help reduce menstrual pain. Really good for mood stabilization. If you're pregnant, really good for the baby's brain development. Vitamin B6 helps with mood regulation, reducing symptoms of PMS. Calcium. Vitamin C is very, very important for healthy hormones in general. And most people just don't get enough vitamin C. That's a good one too. Now, artichoke extract has shown a lot of promise for women with estrogen dominance in particular. Artichoke extract can enhance liver function, which is crucial for metabolizing estrogen. So if you're someone you kind of have a sneaky feeling that you have estrogen dominance or you have really painful periods, try artichoke extract. That you can get a good one on Amazon. I will put the link in the description. I know a lot of women personally, many clients and many friends who have had a lot of success from using artichoke extract, and it's like hardly ever talked about. Red raspberry leaf tea. You can get a big bag of that on Amazon. Get the loose leaf tea. It's used to tone and strengthen the uterine wall, improves menstrual cramps, improves the regularity of your menstrual cycle. If you're pregnant, drink red raspberry leaf tea as much as you can towards the end of your pregnancy because it's supposed to help supposedly induce labor. I've been trying to take it every day because I'm getting towards the end. I'm getting towards the end. My belly's big and I'm ready for this baby to come out soon. Then the female ginseng, which is dong quai, Dongquai. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm not Chinese. It's used in traditional Chinese medicine to promote blood flow and balance estrogen levels. That's another good herb. Evening primrose oil. It's rich in gamma-linoleic acid, beneficial for reducing PMS symptoms. Ginger is an anti-inflammatory. It helps reduce the severity of menstrual cramps. Chasteberry, so I've heard of this one. I haven't used it. It's an herb used for menstrual irregularities, and it's helped to normalize the menstrual cycle and reduce symptoms of PMS. But those are all really helpful supplements. But finally, my piece of advice is this. Don't be afraid to work with a holistic practitioner. If you're suffering, and if you've been suffering from a painful, miserable period, ladies, it doesn't have to be this way. So I want you to reach out to holistic practitioners and ask them for help if you need it. I have some suggestions. I'll put the link in the description, in the show notes. I'll suggest some people to work with. A lot of my clients, they are able to heal hormonal balances simply through diet and exercise and lifestyle. So you're more than welcome to work with me. But if you have a more specialized issue like estrogen dominance, PCOS, endometriosis, I have so many recommendations of holistic practitioners for you to work with because I want you to heal. I want you to get better. So if you feel like you're banging your head against the wall, your OBGYN is not helping you, there are a lot of options out there. A lot of doctors and holistic practitioners who want to see you get to the root cause. So I'm more than happy to connect you with the people who will help you get there. And I want you to know that your period does not have to be painful. Spread it. Shout it from the rooftops. Tell all of your girlfriends that does not have to be this way. You can have normal periods. When I first got pregnant with my daughter, my first child, people were like, oh, you're so lucky you're not going to have a period for like 9 months. And I didn't get my period back for almost a year after my daughter was born because I was breastfeeding so much and the body just naturally doesn't bring the cycle back. So for almost 2 years, I didn't have a period. And people were like, you're so lucky. I'm going to be honest, guys. Like, I don't mind my period. And this is from somebody who used to have painful, heavy periods, who took birth control when I was 19 and almost died from the birth control because I had painful, heavy periods. But not having my period for 2 years is like not that big of a deal to me because my period is not that bad. There are some months where it might be a little bit worse than others. Like I'm going to lie down for 15 minutes because it's a little bit, uncomfortable. But it's really not that bad. And I want that to be the case for all of you. So if you're someone who has healed your menstrual cycle and if you have any tips, other tips that I didn't mention, some suggestions, please put them in the comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video. I always forget to ask that first thing when we start filming. But I hope you guys find the healing that you need. And I'm here for you if you have any questions. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you all. And we'll see you next time. Bye.